Hey there, honey bunnies. Welcome to episode 119. The difference between spiritual bypassing and protective unconsciousness. And excuse the changing sound. I'm walking around the house a little bit. trying to put some food out for the cats so they will leave me alone. Let me do my work. I put a post about this on my Facebook page, and I decided I wanted to say a little more about it. We can't process everything all at once. People can get very frustrated when they're going through therapy or doing a lot of personal development work, getting a lot of coaching, and stuff comes up and they're like, but I already did that. All right, now you're going to hear Frisky's Party Mix, Gravylicious Crunch. Y'all know, y'all are just right in the kitchen with me, right? There's no need to be formal. We can talk about important things without being all weird and picky about how it goes. So, it's frustrating, right? You think, well, I already did therapy for that, or I already got coaching on that. Why is that coming back again? Well, because we can only do so much. We can only do so much. We're not machines. We can't go in, although we are sometimes led to believe that we can go in to our system, our energy, body, mental, spiritual, all that stuff. We're kind of led to believe like, well, you can just go in there and work on it, resolve it, remove it somehow. But that is not the case. We're not computer programs. We can't go in and control, alt, delete every negative thing that's ever happened to us, every trauma we've ever had that needs resolution. And major traumas, I will just tell you that you may revisit them at every developmental stage of your life. So if you went to therapy in your 20s for stuff that happened in your 10s, your first decade of life, you're probably going to revisit that at every developmental change, which is roughly about 10 years. So in your 30s, your 40s, your 50s, you may even revisit it again in your 60s because it's just life experiences. It's not something to be gotten rid of. And I think that's what's at the heart of that. We think we have to get rid of everything, air quote, negative. Every trauma we've ever had, we think resolution equals rid of. And that's not the case. Resolution means when it comes back up for another round of examination and integration, you aren't devastated by it. You're not like completely derailed. You may have another layer of emotion to run through. You may look at it completely differently in your 30s than in your 40s, 50s, 60s. Every time it comes back around, you'll see different aspects of it. You may feel different things about it. As you grow, our traumas grow along with us. But the nature of them, or let me say that differently, the nature of our experience of them changes. The first round, if you're doing trauma therapy, can be pretty violent internally, rough. You're almost reliving it. And in some senses, when I was doing trauma therapy, people, they felt like they really did relive it because that's what EMDR does. It brings it up and back around. But even if you've done EMDR and tapping and somatic experiencing and yada yada, whatever, it doesn't go away. It's part of who you are. So we tend to think of ourselves as, like Do you remember that game? Do they still make this game, Operation, where there's the guy on the board and you got to reach in and pull out his wishbone or whatever, and if you hit the metal sides with the tweezer thing, it buzzes and his nose turns red. We tend to think we're like that, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, let's switch analogies to Legos. Legos are blocks that are put together, or how about Tetris? Same thing. Blocks that are stacked together, you can remove them and shift them and rearrange them and make them go away. But trauma and negative, impactful experiences don't go away. And honestly, you don't want them to. Because they have given you gifts. You may not see it that way yet, but people who have gone through trauma and taken responsibility to go get help for that and process that and learn and grow from that and sift the jewels from the ashes of that are far more interesting and complex and compassionate people. To be honest, I don't know if I know anybody who hasn't had to go through something like that. And I don't know that I'd want to. Because I don't know that I would feel comfortable sharing anything about my multiple traumas if somebody's never gone through that. And I don't know that they would have the depth of compassion. I make a lot of judgments and assumptions here. But I don't know that they'd have the depth of compassion that comes when you have walked through the fire yourself and come out the other side. But you will walk through it and come out the other side again and again and again. So if we can let go of this idea that if I just get rid of this, if I go to therapy and I don't have these memories anymore, I'll pluck them out. Or the energy worker will remove the energy from me, which I have. I'm not going to get on the soapbox, but I don't believe in that. How many times have you had energy removed by somebody else, and darned if you aren't still dealing with it? Now, if you've had somebody remove something from you and you never had to deal with it again, I'm going to say it wasn't yours to begin with and it was something just hanging around. If it's yours, you can't go have somebody else fix it for you and take it out of you. It just keeps coming back because you have to be the one to resolve it. It's your thing. You're the one learning and growing from it. You're the one pulling the experience and into all kinds of different shapes like Play-Doh and twisting it and stretching it and looking at it from different directions and changing the shape of it so that it serves you. Okay, that is part of the process of life. And it never goes away. It just continues to transform. You will go through a metamorphosis at every developmental stage. Okay, that's different. Spiritual bypassing is when we aren't facing our shadow. We know there's a problem and we're not dealing with it. That's bypassing. If you know that you have a wound around something and you choose not to deal with it, that is a bypassy thing. People who are manipulative and very, very unhealthy, even personality disordered, they're going to bypass all the time because that's what they do. That's the nature of that kind of illness, so to speak. That package of woundedness comes with bypassing. They ain't about to face their problems, okay? That's a bypassy thing. But a lot of times you don't even know that you're skipping over something, that you're feeling a tenth of what is actually available to be felt. And there's a reason for that. You're protective. That's protective unconsciousness. That is your mind like dripping, drip content, giving you a little bit to work with and reserving the rest for later, if you want to think of it like that. So let's say you go to therapy for something or you go get some coaching for something and in your head, it's all resolved. You don't think about it. It's not something that comes to your mind. It's not an obsession thing. It doesn't. It doesn't come up. And then you go digging into something else, and this other thing comes up, and it can be confusing. And I think we can fall into judgment, thinking, "Well, I didn't really do my work then. I've been somehow irresponsible, or I didn't face everything there was to be faced." Well, if you'd known about it, you would have faced it, but you didn't know about it because your brain was implementing protective unconsciousness stuff for you, right? Your brain didn't knew that you couldn't handle the whole damn bucket of chum. You would have drowned in it. You couldn't do it. That's not bypassing. That is doing the work that's there to be done, that's available given the resources and capacity that you had at that time. When it comes back around later, it's for re-examination, it's for reintegration, it's for feeling what's the next bit, if you did 10% the first time around and it comes around again, maybe this time you can handle the next 20 or 30% because you've got more resources. Chances are you're 5 to 10 years older. So it comes back up and you have an emotional reaction to it. That just lets you know that now you're ready to process that emotion, because if you weren't, you wouldn't know about it. It wouldn't come up to your consciousness. And if I'm a coach and I'm pointing that out, hey, I'm hearing some of this or that, and you're like, then I can say, okay, I could be wrong. Tuck that in your pocket for later, because I feel like there's this and that and this and that. And that's fine that you don't see it. I could be wrong, whatever. I just need, it's my responsibility to bring that to put a voice to that and bring it to your attention. And then what you do is what you do. Now, sometimes then people will go away and 2 or 3 weeks later, it'll come up. And sometimes it doesn't. And sometimes I'm wrong. Not very goddamn often, but sometimes I am wrong. So that kind of felt like choking on a chicken bone. It ain't often, but it does happen. So anyway, what I want you to be aware of is that you can trust your system to keep you ignorant of, unconscious to these other layers of trauma until you're ready. When it comes back to your consciousness, there's nothing wrong. In fact, you could take it as a marker of progress, that now you are a little older, you are stronger, you are wiser, you do have enough capacity and resources now that your body's like, okay, let's do the next bit. All right, so you go dig into your past and you deal with what traumas that you're aware of. And then you go about your life and something will come up, or you'll notice that there's a damn pattern that keeps coming up, and there's more work to do. But don't ever judge yourself and think that you didn't do the work properly before. And be careful when you see somebody's shadow at work and you bring it up to them and they tell you you're, banana pants or crazy or whatever, or that you're just flat out wrong. Just tuck that away. You don't need to do anything with that. They can't see it right now, or you're wrong. We can be wrong. We can feel stuff, but be wrong about where it's coming from or who it belongs to. So in our coaching world and spiritual world, there's a lot of like, oh, she's spiritually bypassing, or oh, he's bypassing. If he would do his shadow work, then I'm as guilty as anybody else. But we got to be careful about that, because maybe they are bypassing on purpose, but most often, unless they're like personality disordered for real, which is rare also, lots of people getting the narcissist label are not actually fully diagnosable as narcissists, because, hey, guess what? You can't read a book and then go diagnose somebody as a narcissist. They may be an asshole, but not all assholes are narcissists, although all narcissists are most likely assholes. What? I don't know. I don't even know what I'm saying. So before you say someone's bypassing and you write them off as irresponsible light workers and not doing their shadow work, just remind yourself that you don't know how much they've processed. You don't know what their capacity is. We don't know. We don't know when somebody's ready to face their demons. As you probably know yourself, it takes an enormous amount of courage and commitment to stay with enormous buckets of pain that feel like acid being poured over your head, right? It takes a lot of guts to do that work. And it's not up to us to say who's ready and who's not and who should be doing their shadow work and what a bypasser, they're not doing their work. Like, that's not up to us to say because we don't fucking know. We're not supposed to know. It's not our life. Somebody's gaslighting you and you think they're bypassing or whatever, then don't be in relationship with that person. Because it can be pretty damaging to be around somebody who is still unconscious to what the work that they need to do. But don't try to shove in their face and say, hey, wake up, you've got work to do. That ain't your business. That's not your job, unless they've hired you as a coach, and then it is your job. Or a therapist, it is your job to point that out. But don't drag people over the broken glass and tell them they need to deal with it, that they need to wake up to it, that they need to be conscious of how they're gaslighting themselves and others, that they need to wake up and do their shadow work and whatever, and then judge them harshly when they can't do it. It's not up to us. And again, we have to be careful about trying to make other people change so that we can feel better. I want to be in a relationship with you, but you haven't done your shadow work, so get on it. I'm sorry, but no, that's kind of rapey. That's pretty aggressive. That's pretty, you changed to make me happy. Come on. You don't actually really want to be doing that. Your time is better spent learning how to manage your emotions and learning how to have some boundaries. And if people can't, if it's untenable, cut them loose. Let them go. Don't continue to throw things in their face. That is no different than hitting somebody over the head with a hammer. Would you do that? I'm thinking that you would not. First of all, you get arrested for that. Second of all, you're going to feel real bad about it later on down the road if you go whacking people in the head with a hammer. Well, telling somebody they got to change or you can't handle being around them and being mad about it if they don't change is no different than whacking somebody up the side of the head with a damn hammer. It's no different. It's demanding, it's out of alignment, it's aggressive, it's assaultive, it's violent, it doesn't serve you, and it sure don't serve them. This might be the shortest podcast I've ever done because now I'm out. I just wanted to say a little bit more about that. I would like to see us give ourselves a little bit more grace. I would like to see us step into the opportunity to allow ourselves to always be processing, always be growing, changing, revisiting the past from different perspectives, and letting go of this idea that we're ever going to fix anything, that there's ever going to be a day that you wake up and life is smooth and there's no bumps in the road and that nothing you have to deal with ever comes back again, because that's a magical unicorn wonderland that does not exist. If you are alive, you're going to experience pain. You can't go through your whole life and never get a scratch on your skin or never get a scar. If you don't have a single scar on your body, then you haven't lived enough and you need to go mix it up a little bit more. Right? Our skin gets damaged. The older we get, the more scars we have. Same thing happens inside. But our skin repairs itself and returns to a state of integrity, meaning all one, unbroken. So can we. And then something else is going to happen and we'll get another scratch. And that scratch may remind us of a previous scratch. But we don't have to judge ourselves for it. We don't have to think anything is wrong. Just face it. It's there. It came up again. Now you're aware of it. Now you can deal with it. Hallelujah, Jesus. You're conscious for a moment. And then later you're going to fall asleep again and do it all over again anyway. So there is no end zone. There is no page in the book that you flip and it says the end. There's no ba-dee. That's all, folks. There isn't that. There is not that. There is no end. No end. So deal with today as today is. Face the problems of today, and if they remind you of the past and you go, hey, wait a minute, and deal with it, face it, process it, feel it, and then go on. Sounds simple, doesn't it? It's simple. It's not easy, but it is simple. So, till I come holler at you again about something, take good care of yourself, think less, feel more, and I'll talk to you later.